Good morning, guys. Glad you can make it. So, today I woke up at like 5:30 in the morning. The biological alarm clock just said you're getting up right now. And probably for the better because I had no idea what I was gonna play for the video. And someone in one of the comments on another video, they mentioned that they wanted to see mages in action. And I've been making it a great effort of mine not to play mages, but if someone's gonna ask about it, then I might as well put together a video because I feel like maybe someone needs to learn how to play it and they want to play that, so why not, right? So if you guys aren't really big on mages, then just don't blame me for it, right? Let's get into it here. We got first game against Double Cross Nilfgaard, and for what it's worth, this is not the standard mages list. This one is a little bit different. One of the luxuries of being on one of the competitive Gwent teams is having, some of the guys in the Team Legacy Discord posting, decks that they've been experimenting with. Now, this was one that I stumbled across earlier on in the season, posted by frequent top 16 player Deadeye. So, I said this actually looks like something I feel like showcasing because it's mages, but it's not like just maybe the basic mages you've already seen before. So, getting into it here, this would be my first time playing it at all. Rafford's tends to go down early. It's a really good card to sort of, keep us in the round and push to win on even. Helps us get our engines out there, and then it plays for phenomenal points. Every time we put either a soldier or a mage beside it, it's going to deal 2 damage to a random enemy. And with the cooldown there, we were able to speed it up with Winch, but, realistically, it's going to allow us to play another bronze card from hand and pull into another card. And you saw that even when I played Revenants the other day, I included this card just because it was that good, to help cycle out some of the soldiers that we had. Now, you're probably wondering why we play some of them on melee, because in round 1 you want to establish the patience. You don't necessarily want to play everything that you have. Like click the orders in round 1, so I wanted to greed it a little bit and get that engine value of the 2 damage while we still had the Raffords out there. So, I put her on melee. It was completely intentional in this case. And just because we have one stuck there is a consideration to play the second one late in the round beside it, or just play it early on ranged. We kind of want to have at least one of them that we could use this turn, and then one of them that just kind of works later on. But for now, because it's still there, they haven't used Yennefer's Invocation or anything like that, I want to capitalize on having those extra damage points. We got coffee number 2 on the go right now. Like I said, I woke up pretty early today, so definitely need it. I got these like spinach tortillas, and I made some breakfast burritos with like salsa and eggs and avocados and shredded cheese and stuff like that. Man, I cut carbs for like a month. Like, I'm talking like pretty much down to nothing, like 20-30 grams of carbs a day. It was torture. Lost like 20 pounds, but now I'm in a spot where I'm happy with that, and we'll just like, treat ourselves here and there. So that was a big treat. Them playing cards from hand is not ideal, and they're not really able to remove all these patience engines. It's getting out of hand. So, we have really good control of the round. Again, just pop that down there. Maybe boost one of those up, keep it going. We want to have patience 4 on both of the students so that we can get zeal on the alumni later on. And that round was kind of what you'd expect to play. This deck I find does better when we're on red coin than when we're on blue. Hopefully we have some blue coin games for you guys too, so you could see it both ways. But we have no reason now to not just play them down. Not only did we beat them on even, but we also established that huge carryover for the alumni. So, it doesn't really feel fair. And we'll open up the discussion here in the comments, guys. Like, what do you think about mages as an archetype, and what sort of changes do you think it needs? Because I think it's safe to say that you could even maybe make mistakes playing this deck and still do well. And I feel like that shouldn't be rewarded as much as it is. Now, there you go, just pop that right back out there. And just no respect for what sort of removal they might have, because, you know, we still have the alumni and we still have the extra patience that we're gaining here, even as like a carryover.
They will dance to our beat, sing to our tune.
Was really tricky to get games in for you guys today. We have 4 featured. I like to do 4 because the length is good for the video. Any more is kind of stale. Any less is just not enough to give us a good reference point of what we're doing. However, I had so many games, like easily 3 or 4 games that, you know, midway through the game they just got fed up and quit, and there wasn't enough there for us to really, you know, salvage. So, you know, they would have been good games too. Like I had a really good, just a few of them were like we put down everything perfectly, like the stars were aligned, it just didn't happen. So it's too bad. I guess when people see the leader, they're like, you know, not today. And that's kind of what makes me feel like it's unhealthy for the game.
Why do they not fall?
But I do enjoy the little shield engine package, I guess you could say, the immortals and whatnot. It plays into the archetype pretty well because the sorceress in the back, left side of my hand, you know, that's mage, right? And then we have the immortal, which I believe is a soldier, so, you know, both work with Raffords just fine. You know, they're cranking out the leader here, and it's like we don't even really care because we went on even. We see the Joachim come out.
And if I insert a needle here?
And the wild thing about it is that we actually have reach. So you look at that, we know the Assimilate's going to proc on the Mage Assassin next turn. You know, we can always just kill it. Yeah. Just finish off that kill. I think it's time to stop greeting it on that, because 4 is like a tourney joust, you know? Get some little bit more like wide point spread here. Start engineering that. It's 2 points a turn. And then there's a consideration to just put the casting contest on the student just to refresh that order and keep it ticking. I just wanted to get down the mage so that we can get those passive points every single turn, right?
Though Gwent is strong and skillfully imposed.
And that's like gonna demand some sort of removal. At this point, it's too valuable. Takes the heat wave. They're still only up by a handful here. You know, we could just still trade. Like at the end of the day, it's a bronze card, right?
We have each other's backs. That's more than most.
And you know, might think I'm playing into Revenants there. Yes, a little bit. However, you know, with Brathens, with Vigo, with every other way that they can put tokens on my side of the board, it was just bound to happen regardless. I don't really want some of my better cards to get spying, so I was thinking like if there's a will and a way to remove that one, then maybe we can go ahead and do that. But you see what I mean? Like they're obviously going to take an offensive Revenant before they take a defensive one. And, you know, I'm looking for Terra Nova. We saw Heatwave, we saw the leader, we saw Lydia, Brathens, Furcart, right? There's a lot of things that we got out in this case. We're able to preserve our leader charges as well. And that should just be enough. Oh. 45-46. This is a pass because they have to play it regardless, right? And so going into like a round 3 with a huge advantage, it just feels right. You know, 2 leader charges. We got Gerhardt. Everything's... Yeah, there it is. Mind you, I'm tired of seeing the same assimilate deck going around 2. However, this matchup that you're seeing right here, us and them, is going to be a very common one. You know, if you're really trying to climb and you're playing more of like a meta type deck, because they're just so strong. And you know, we put down these cards here and it's almost like we don't even have to worry about what we get at that point. Just having that card advantage is so valuable. Seeing Joachim, seeing Heatwave, everything out of the way, you know, and they just decide like, look, it's over. And you know, that was one of the better games that I recorded. We didn't even get to finish that one. So moving on to the second one here, we have Nature's Gift. And it's been another one that's like really been spammed over the last couple months. Round 1, you want to mulligan away the alumni because we haven't established enough credibility for them yet, right? We want to have our patience 4 and 4 on each row before we go and we play those. So there's no sense in keeping them in round 1 because, you know, ideally, like, those are the payoff cards that win the game later on. And so we're doing a little bit of a devotion check. I'm thinking that they have reach for this with a Dunka and a Rebuke, but I just don't know if they would do it. I'll start separating the rows a little bit. Start working on those alumni. This deck is probably like the greedier version of like the regular one. It's a little bit greedier because like normally you'll see like a Donimir, but by having the shield package, you know, you have like just that many more engines in play, and then also you're being able to give the shield to Selkirk. And if you guys played classic shield wall, that's like a really big advantage, is having, you know, the extended removal with the Selkirk. Dive into an amphibious here, you know. Polo, another one. Like, they can't stop them all, can they? And it's good that we saw something on blue here. It kind of gives you guys an idea of how we defend round. Amphibious is a really good way to get out of it. You know, Marines are really good to get out of the rounds. And it's going to be very difficult for them now to remove any of these engines while the value just continues to climb. And every single turn they play, they know it's annoying. You know what I mean? They know that it's going to be worse for them later on. So, you know, I could tell they really want to push us and try and beat us on even and bleed out all those really good cards in round 2. So looking at board state right now, we have a tie. You know, I'm starting to think that we don't get card back if we keep going with this, because, you know, we don't really want to click those if we have the choice to not click them. So I'm looking at the possibility of passing here, and I think that's just fine. If they decide to go and pass here, well, then they're going to start next round, and we still have really good alumni, and our hand is really good. So it was one of those things where take your pick. Circle of Life coming down. Okay. Little carryover for later, that's no problem. Couple points. And Dunka continues to work. I mean, at this point, our students are worth 7. And turn 1 with Shani would be worth 8. So already like an Ethne or a Hamadryad or whatever the case is going to be removed. So you see how nasty it gets really quickly. Practice makes perfect's good for consistency, however, you know, we'll just go ahead and do that. That's if we're like lacking alumni, so we need to pull into them. Or we have nothing to play with one of those, and then, you know, we use that card. We look for something that we can use instead, because you don't always get the perfect shield combo. Going into round 3, I would say that we both have a pretty strong, you know, amount of cards remaining here. I do think that we're a little bit favored just because of all of our control that we have. Gonna get out of hand. I like making sure I prioritize playing the students on melee before the ranged, because I feel like damage is more valuable in most cases than, you know, your boost. And there's, you know, like obviously surprise Gerdens and Ignis and multiple tall punishes per deck. So do we really want to shoot ourselves in the foot and go too tall for no reason? Not really. So just something a little bit easy here. I kind of want to protect like the Shani, for example, and make it super difficult for them to remove. That's the case, right? Because they're notorious for a bunch of rebukes in this deck. Same with that. We want to get the cooldown going. And what's nice is that when we put in a matchup where we know the devotion, like, we don't even have to leader here. We could save that for something that might be more important, like just about anything else, like something we bring back with Shani, for example. Just get these warmed up here.
That's more than most.
And then put Shani online.
Severed limbs, blood, and guts.
You know what I mean? 7's just nuts. Obviously the spawn doesn't give it a shield and we can't play it beside Raffords, which is whatever. We'll start working on that Raffords engine next turn. You know, we want to just use this right away. So let's just go ahead and take that here. I'm contemplating taking the damage with that. I feel like because they don't have reach for 6 removal, we can just greed it out and get a bit more value from it there. So
Though trees live longer than humans, they need protection from them.
and that student should just be enough. So go ahead and remove the hammer, and then we can pretty much get like maybe the sorceress down. We'll want to get the extra damage here. Rip a shield off, maybe something that we're not too worried about, like the alumni. And that's kind of how this game went. I was upset for this one. Again, one of the better games that we have. Wasn't able to finish it, but you saw how it was all coming together so perfectly. So felt like I would still include it because it's still educational, right? Moving on to Death Wish. Now, I vaguely remember like a round 3 mistake or something like that in this one here, so we'll look out for that. Death Wish is definitely making a big return. If you're new to the game, I find a lot of newer players tend to play monsters because it's one of the like more recommended factions at the beginning. Definitely check out some Death Wish decks, guys. Really easy to pilot, pretty rewarding now compared to even a couple months ago. I did post within the last few days a Death Wish deck. If you're looking for some inspiration for that, look at the channel there, you can see that. It's hard to miss with the big red background that we put. And Raffords, you see kind of the theme with this deck. You know, it's kind of one of those decks that you just play in the same order every single time. And for some people that's relaxing, for other people, you know, it gets boring. It's tough, you know, it's a tough choice. I do like decks with a bit more flexibility though. You know, this one, it's kind of like your Dwarfs or your Vi deck when you play it. It's just I play this, and then I play this, and then it doesn't change. You just try to go as, you know, consistent with the formula as you can. So this looks like some kind of relics. Alright, we see the consume. We start to see, like, this reminds me of like Kashi 2 months ago. Again, just pile out another engine here. If they play deep into the round, we have both rows. And I guess they were looking for a She Who Knows or something like that, and it just didn't happen. So moving on to round 2, we did exactly what we came here to do, and we have 2 alumni in hand. You know, there are decks that have ways to get more alumni, like I've seen megascopes, I've seen, you know, constant refreshing of like a location, and then using like, you know, that sort of thing, and just spawning like more of them, right? Because we have our location now at the bottom. It's one of those things where it's like, you know, a few is enough.
I'm a medic. I tend to know what I'm doing when I prescribe something.
Because if you don't establish alumni aren't good, right? So the contingency there for the big payoff is like our students living long enough. Kind of just do a little bit of a soft bleed here. I want to see if we can get out like a potential Yurden or something like that, because I feel like at this point something's not adding up, right? We know it's non-devotion. What kind of like trickery are they gonna play? So, you know, I'd rather be punished in like a round 2 than a short round 3. And we're sort of playing into multiple or just one big tall punish because we have the row stack here. So that's like one of the vulnerabilities that the deck has, you know, and you'll often kind of sense this if they are trying to remove your melee row students instead of your range row, because, you know, at the end of the day, if they just punish whatever you have, it doesn't matter how tall you got it to, right? So every single turn we're looking at the potential to pass. We just don't want to get caught there. Seeing Detlef come out right here is a little bit frustrating because we know it's going to be very difficult to, you know, stay as much ahead as we are, because Detlef with leader plays for 24 points plus the beast with the extra 2. Huge play for them. Looking at all the options here, Amphibious is a consideration, but we kind of want that for round 3 as well. Go ahead and take it here. You know, we're not going to see a much better duel than this because the beast is going to continue to climb. Let's give that Zeal, go ahead with it here. And that's going to create enough of a point gap that we can just kind of sneak out of the round if we need to. We want to get Sunset out though, so there is consideration to keep playing into it.
A witch's best friend is a pig, no doubt.
30-37, I'm thinking here. If we dive for John into a winch, we could use our Shanny again this round, which is really gross. It's like not even fair. And then we have, of course, units that we can boost on the melee row as well. Like maybe we put a boost into John or something like that, just because we want to separate the points on the rows.
The day is nigh when all shall behold my beauty.
And I'm thinking, yeah, Marine's just like a good cheap option here. And it's getting to the point of the round where I'm feeling like we're greeting it a little bit too much. Like, it's, you know, if you're gonna play like a Igni or a Yurden or something like that, you want to sort of wait as long as you can, so that once, you know, you've done that damage, they can't replenish. And I think at this point, you know, we still have enough to sort of bring us back into the round if we were to get punished on either of the rows. So, you know, they have no reason to play the punish just yet. But again, looking at this turn here, I see a huge reset potential if we can get into the artifact compression. Get that one out of the way. Do a little boost onto melee so that the points are separated just enough. And then we can just throw that down there because we have to play a card. And this should be the turn that we leave, because we know exactly one card for them shouldn't do it in most cases, but 2 cards definitely will. And I think that they think we're going all in, so if they have any sort of tall punish, they're probably going to play it after we play our last card. And we know it's a tie if we pass, so they have to keep playing. And hopefully their hand is valuable. I like the big pause. Usually tells me something good, and there's the Yurden. I told you guys, like, even when I was playing this game, I'm like, man, I know something's coming. You know? It just felt like it. Like, there was like this eerie feeling, you know? Going into round 3, we got even cards at this point. Pretty content with what we bled. They didn't get that carryover if they had a She Who Knows, and you know, it's going to be hard to get Sabbath with 4 cards. If there's any other Sabbath plays, like, it's going to be tricky to get that payoff. That's not really what I wanted to see there, our last card, but it's fine. Maxi for points. Yeah, I think that's right. This is the mistake that I made. I would have put this on range row just because I didn't look at the alumni first to check which row had the largest patience. Now, we wanted to put that on range row so that when the alumni goes down, then it's safe from any sort of weird tech-in damage they might have. Having realized that, you know, right now, it made sense to just play it anyways and hope for the best. Now, if we get out of this situation, that's great. If we would have played it differently, it wouldn't have mattered really. So, either way, you guys get what I'm saying here. We reset the alumni. Just do it again. Like, it's nuts. The only thing that can stop us here is a heat wave. Heat waves, escape, enter, just get it over with. But that's about it, really. And you see what I mean with the whole Sabbath thing, there's not really enough time to pay off. We don't even have to spend the last cards. So again, little misplay, but it didn't really punish us in that case. And moving on to the last game for today, we got Deadeye Ambush, Scoia'tael. And I've seen so many different versions of this deck, man. Like, it could be regular, it could be Gezras, it could be traps, it could be a different kind of traps, it could be a third kind of traps, right? I don't even know what to expect at this point, so we have to play as if it's like the most malicious one that there is. I have to play it as if it was traps, so that's kind of what we're doing here. You guys stuck around to the last game. You already know what's up. If you're still here and not subscribed, why don't you drop a sub to the kid? I am close to getting to my next goal of 1,000, so it would mean a lot to me. I'm trying to do everyday uploads right now. It's been pretty fun, so continue that and see how it goes.
Wager I can cast from with my foot.
And also, if you guys have any sort of requests, you can always post those in the comments as well. I'm pretty good at, you know, getting those things done unless I just can't make it work, right? I don't want to post anything that's like a complete pile of crap and I'm just trying to make it look good or something like that. You know, I like to actually make sure we're winning games and we're doing well and it makes sense before we post it.
Grow, my beauties. Reach high into
So
the sky.
just that play on its own pushes us like pretty much out of the round, right? We know the Sage is going to tick +6. They could play a bunch of specials and just get these 3, 3, 3, 3 on each row. It's going to be nuts. So how do we even play into this, right? Like, I think we get one more turn out of
Leave
them.
it to me.
One more turn, a little bit more patience, you know. We hope that they click that location, but other than that, let's get something on the back row here.
All shall behold my beauty.
And if they passed in that situation, we would just play down to 4. You know, if there's a will, there's a way. We'd find it, like we'd find the points. Because the payoff later would be so valuable that it doesn't really matter what we'd spend from our hand to get there. But this is absurd. Like, if we play here, they would just pass on us and we could play down to 0 and not get it. So, you know, just knowing our limits is really important in this game. Having seen that Simlas in that location out of the way, that's huge for us. I don't know if they do bleed here. Again, with the round 1 that they had, it doesn't really give us any sort of indication of what exactly they're playing. One of those can go. You know, you don't really want to take them with you in round 2, 3. You kind of just want to see what you've got and work on the alumni, unless they're just really bad. Like, unless you've got maybe patience 1 or 2 and you have to really fix that up. And we gotta, again, so we're looking at traps right now. That's annoying. They always play that one first, so I went for the shield, just so it wouldn't do anything. I'm hoping they don't have a serpent trap, but I wouldn't doubt it.
If you insist.
And this got me confused, man. Now we've got Count Codwell versions going around, and I'm thinking, okay, that's going to be tough because that's as non-interactive as it gets, right? We got them just killing our stuff off and taking that card back at the last second. So I'm curious to see how this goes. We can just start putting out engines though, you know? And at the same time, we got to make sure that their units don't get too tall. And neither do ours, because if we play a special card, maybe they have a serpent trap, we kind of ruin ourselves here. It gets kind of tricky.
Spit it out already. Don't have all day.
Because they could literally take Codwell back and play a serpent trap, right?
Kill them all!
Let's go ahead and use that. Seems like a really good spend. Get rid of the sorceress. Done. Keep our units the tallest units, even if they use their location there. It doesn't really matter.
We must vanish. I see no other paths.
That's pretty annoying because we have no way to stop it at all. They can just go ahead and use that boost on the back row twice. We got 10-point units out here. He's about to leave our side of the board too, so... And I'm trying to play around a Scorch and all that type of stuff at the same time, like low-key, because, you know, who knows at this point? Like, I haven't played against anything like this, so I don't know what we're dealing with.
It hasn't backfired yet.
Went with the Rafford's commitment here just because I feel like, okay, we can kind of cycle the deck a bit more. and make sure that, you know, we can keep card advantage at this point. Having seen the full leader spend for them, it's huge. So I played right into an Igni there. I just, whoops. I mean, that would have done it, but it might not have won them the round at the end of the day. 22 points on the Igni. I mean, how often would you be running it though if you're putting cards on my row? Yeah, start to split them up a little bit, you know? Realize, hey, like, we gotta fix this. Shanny's kind of expensive. We are up by quite a bit. Like, a winch just could be played, you know? Or even just that. Just put some boost on the board. Maybe even just boost the 6, keep it, yeah. We're gonna lose them pretty soon. You know, thinking about, do we go even taller or do we make a little bit of a sacrifice? Human Knight's not a soldier or mage, you could put it wherever. Make a little sacrifice here. And, you know, do they have any other attempts to boost their card to be the tallest card? Who knows? Forcing it. Kind of want to split them up just in case again, right? Winch is just fine. Even if they punish, you know, the front row, we're still in a pretty good spot. We got horned. I figured it was that, you know, because it was sitting there for so long, we were playing all different types of cards and nothing was happening, so. Moving on to round 3, card advantage. We still have Shanny, we still have Amphibious. We've got actually really good cards. Winch for Shanny. Except I don't think it really matters too much at this point, but it's still points.
I'm a medic. I tend to know what I'm doing when I prescribe something.
Folks, bang, kaboom. Shit, how'd that go?
We just keep swinging and swinging here.
The soil is fertile with nothing.
That's actually worth it. You know, the trade-off is just good. We know those get out of hand, and then we'll put that just there, and we can play beside it going forward. Too bad the round wasn't a bit longer though, because John into Winch reduces cooldown by 3. It's at 5 right now, and we're just, I think, a turn short, aren't we? Yeah. Wait. Or do we get it? Yeah, next round we get it. Okay, perfect. I was just showing you guys that we had access to it. Otherwise, I would have pulled like a Marine or something like that we're actually going to spend, you know. But again, the lead was just so big, it didn't really matter.